If I know my audience as well as I think I do, I think every single one of you will agree when I say the following sentence. You love when I talk about Batman movies. And since it's been a while since I've made a Batman video, I thought it'd be a great idea to rank, review, and discuss every theatrically released Batman film. Let's get to it. So, as you can see here, we have Batman 1966, Batman 89, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, the Nolan trilogy, Batman v Superman, Justice League, the Lego Batman film, Joker, which, yes, I know, it's not a Batman film, but I thought, why not? It's kind of related, and it gives me the ability to talk about Joker too, Justice League, again, but the Zack Snyder edition, and The Batman, along with a little interesting topic at the end, which is The Flash. So, starting with Batman 1966, I'm gonna put this film in the flawed but enjoyable category. I know a lot of people tend to sleep on Batman 1966, and truthfully, I don't know why. Batman 1966 is a very enjoyable movie. It's fun, it's engaging, Adam West is a lovable Batman, the villains are fantastic, it has the historical aspect to it because without this movie, the Riddler would not be a very important Batman villain, and more than anything else, it's just a good time. Yes, some of it is dated, the visuals are laughable, the entire intro scene to this film is hysterical, but it's so aged that you can't help but appreciate it. And more than anything else, I just think it's a good time. If you're thinking about watching Batman 1966 and you're like, man, I don't know if I should, I don't know if it's worth it, do it and then watch my video about it. I promise you won't regret it. Now, moving on, we have Batman 1989, and I don't think this will shock anybody, but Batman 1989 is a top tier movie. Come on everybody, let's clap it up. Batman 1989, it's a banger movie. Michael Keaton did the thing that he had to do in this role, which was take Batman and launch it into the stratosphere, and it put Batman on the map. It made Gotham what it is today. It's iconic. The Batman logo literally just being the poster for the film says everything you need to know, and honestly, I think people kind of underrate it. I don't know why, but I always see people talk about whether or not Michael Keaton is a good Batman or not, or whether the film is good enough, and he is. There's no debate. He is Batman. Look at this clip.
Son of a bitch. You are a real beak breaker.
Without this film, people would not be obsessed with Batman. Batman would not be the character he is today. Gotham wouldn't be what it is today. And more than anything else, Jack Nicholson's Joker laid out the blueprint for Heath Ledger's Joker. Come on, people. Let's stop talking nonsense. Let's all come to an agreement. Batman 89, an absolute banger movie. It does everything right. And even though I understand people have their own preference about who's their favorite Batman, who's their favorite Bruce Wayne, kind of similar to who's people's favorite Spider-Man and who's people's favorite Peter Parker, Batman 89 is iconic, it's fantastic. Michael Keaton did what he had to do. I mean, come on people, he's Batman. Next up, we have Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a top tier film. I keep telling myself I want to make a video, and because I plan on finally doing so, I won't say too much, but for me, this movie is the definitive Batman origin story film. Everything about this film is perfectly crafted. It's a fantastic movie. It doesn't waste your time. It explores Bruce Wayne in the best way possible, and the ending is just so satisfying. It's a phenomenal film, and just like Batman 1966, if you're debating on watching this because you have not watched Batman Mask of the Phantasm, do it. Next up, we have Batman Returns, and I hate to say this. It's a not good, okay? Hear me out. Batman Returns succeeds at the following things: continuing a very fun storyline with Michael Keaton's Batman, iterating upon Gotham and what we used to know it to be, using the Christmas theme perfectly fine, the Penguin with Danny DeVito, Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, the costume design, all those things work. However, there's a ton of useless characters in this film. I just don't care for so many of the supporting cast who really don't play that big of a role. And because of that, I'm just like, we could have cut these characters out and we would have been so much better for it. It's just kind of boring at moments. And because it's boring, I don't find it as enjoyable as I used to. And therefore, I am putting it in the not good tier. And I just want to remind everybody, just because I put it in the not good tier list does not mean that I think it's awful. We will get to the things that I think is awful. You will see how I utilize this tier list. Next up, with that being said, Batman Forever is not good. I'm sorry, it's not. I am one of the people out there in the stratosphere who's like, you know guys, this movie achieves its one goal. And the one goal of Batman Forever is to take a deep dive into Bruce Wayne's mind and try to understand what makes Bruce Wayne Batman. And in that case, Batman Forever perfectly exceeds the expectations. I think Joel Schumacher was onto something. However, everything else about this film is just not good. Yes, Jim Carrey's alright in the role of Riddler. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I think Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face is a disaster class. Look at this clip.
The random flip of the coin is the only way to establish true justice.
Do you think that Tommy Lee Jones cared about this movie or cared about the role of Two-Face? No, neither did I. Therefore, not good. In fact, I'm gonna keep it below Batman Returns because I just think it deserves that placement, okay? Next up, and this is going to be the first controversial tier list ranking of this video, and I know the comments, everyone's gonna hate me for this because no one's gonna think I'm being honest when I do this. I promise you, I'm not trolling. I truly feel this way, okay? Batman and Robin is a flawed but enjoyable movie. I said what I said. Mr. Freeze, fantastic. Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, one of the most undervalued and underrated castings of our time. I think the movie is great when you view it from the lens of it being a big budget Saturday morning cartoon. And more than anything else, it's just fun to have a movie where Batman isn't brewing and being annoying and, oh my god, I'm Batman, I'm vengeance. Like, everyone's just clowning around, having fun, and it's lighthearted and fun. And I truly think that people should watch this film. I know that sounds like I'm trolling, and everyone's gonna be like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I can't believe he thinks this way. How could he put Batman and Robin over Batman Returns? It's a fun, enjoyable popcorn flick. Lighten up, people. It's such a fun film. And on top of all of the things I just said, the one thing Batman and Robin doesn't get enough credit for is the simple fact that all of the set pieces in this film are so well designed. It's such a colorful film. Everything about the visuals and the set pieces and the way the camera moves along certain scenes, it's so good and so engaging. Therefore, Batman and Robin deserves that ranking. Okay? Okay. I don't know how to tell y'all this, but Batman Begins is not good, but it's better than both Batman Returns and Batman Forever, okay? Can we accept that Batman Begins is incredibly boring? The Liam Neeson casting for Ra's al Ghul, not good. The movie, not engaging. Nothing of any importance or significance happens until the final act of the film, and even then, that's not enough. Yes, the final act has great action. It's satisfying to see Bruce Wayne becoming Batman and being a hero, and it's setting up the Dark Knight, which we're about to get to. But Batman Begins is just a boring movie. I don't understand the people who ride for this movie. I don't understand why people think that this is some magical movie that's so good. It's not, people. It is overrated. Highly overrated. Okay? Thank you. Now, The Dark Knight. Come on, people. Do I need to waste time on this ranking? We know Heath Ledger, iconic. The movie, iconic. The soundtrack, phenomenal. The action, perfection. It's one of the best sequels of our time, and it may never be topped. Therefore, it's in top tier. Yes, I think it's better than both of these films. Yes, I don't think there's much competition, but more than anything else, The Dark Knight is one of those movies with infinite rewatchability. It will never ever be poorly aged and will never get hot takes of, oh my god, it's a bad movie. The only thing I could say negative about The Dark Knight, and I said it in my big Nolan trilogy video, is that The Dark Knight is not a Batman movie. It's more centered on the Joker. Therefore, I always knock it down that 0.5. But even then, it's still a 10 and 10 in my heart. The Dark Knight Rises is a flawed but enjoyable movie. I don't know about y'all, but this movie has grown on me. Yes, the Batman arc is a little drawn out and takes a little too long for our liking, but overall, it's a good movie. It's a great popcorn flick. Tom Hardy has some of the best scenes in this movie, even though the action is stiff, it's awkward, it's not really good, but how can you hate the speeches? How can you hate the voiceover of the mask? How can you hate Tom Hardy in this role? And the ending is perfect, even though we never got the spin-off movie we kind of wanted, but even then, it's not a perfect movie, but it's flawed and enjoyable, and for that, I think it deserves to be above Batman Begins, Batman Returns, and Batman and Robin. Maybe time will be nice and people will understand that The Dark Knight Rises doesn't deserve as much hate as it used to get. However, you know what does deserve the hate that it used to get? Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition, okay? I'm sorry. I watched the Ultimate Edition with an open mind. I rewatched it recently because I kind of wanted to make a video related to that topic, but I never did because Batman v Superman is such a boring movie. There's just so much setup and it's so bloated and the movie is so slowly paced. And yes, I think the final act, just like Batman Begins, is perfectly fine. It's great. It's kind of worth the wait. But Batman v Superman suffers from the simple fact that there needed to be a Batman movie. We needed Batman to be set up already. We needed Batman's arc to be that he's learning from his past and everything he went through with the Batman Batfleck solo movie. I know, very confusing to say. And I just really feel like if that existed, okay, this movie would have been maybe an hour less and it would have been better for it, because then this movie wouldn't need to set up Batman so much. And if there wasn't the Batman setup in this film and the arc of Bruce Wayne was him growing to become a better hero, then this movie would have been better. But because this is what we got, it's not good. I'm just sorry, it's not. And just like Batman v Superman, Justice League, or as most people call it, Justice League, is not good either. It's such a bad movie, a tale of two halves. We all know it. We don't need to walk down memory lane. We all know this movie sucks. And the only way to fix it is through Zack Snyder's Justice League, which we'll get to, don't worry. But this movie, if I had to say anything positive about it, the first like 10 minutes, 5 minutes when Batman's, on the rooftop doing fantastical things, that's the most engaging part of the film. And maybe the ending. I don't know if I even believe that myself, but the ending was kind of decent when the Flash and Superman are racing. That was, a moment in the DCEU, I think. But even then, it's the worst of the Batman films we've talked about thus far. There's nothing redeeming about this. There's nothing engaging about this. There's nothing compelling about this movie. All of it sucks. It's just laughably bad. Now, I have beef with so many people on social media. And you want to know why I have beef with people on social media? It's because y'all sleep on the Lego Batman. The Lego Batman movie rules. It's a movie made for Batman fans. Everything about it is fantastic. I love how this movie explores every single past Batman movie. I love all the jokes and the roast about the past Batman movies. I love how it talks about what Batman fans have had to deal with on the big screen. I love how this movie explores Batman. I love the inclusion of Robin and the rest of the stacked cast. I love how the Justice League awkwardly interact with Batman. Everything about this movie is so good. I cannot believe that there are people who hate this film. Y'all need to do better, okay? Okay, Joker. I struggle with this one because like it could be a top tier movie, and if it was, it would be here, but I don't know if I would really call it flawed, because I think Joker has a lot of things going for it. I like the realism. I like that it's grounded and gritty. I like that it's a deep dive into how Joker in a real society can become real. And I love Joaquin Phoenix in this role. I think everything about the production of the film is phenomenal. The soundtrack is good. The visuals are good. The art style of certain text is good. I think there's so many things going for it. And that's what makes me want to put it in top tier. But I only think Joker needed to be a one-time thing that inspired other cool creative projects that could have explored not only the Batman mythos, the Superman mythos, the Wonder Woman mythos, or just DC characters in general like Plastic Man. But in my eyes, I think Joker having a sequel, and I would say the sequel name, but I feel like I'm gonna butcher it, takes Joker down a notch, and so does the story, because I don't totally love the story. So for me, Joker is a flawed but enjoyable movie. However, you know what else is top tier? Zack Snyder's Justice League. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think I would put it higher than any of the other films, but what I would say is that Zack Snyder's Justice League is a Batman film. It centers around Ben Affleck's Batman. Everything about this movie is Batman focused because it's Batman going out of his way to create the Justice League. So that's why I included it on this tier list. However, if you wanted me to give genuine criticisms that don't seem nitpicky, the movie runtime doesn't need to be 4 hours. It really does not. Come on, let's all just stop kidding ourselves. Even though, yes, some of the payoff is actually worth it, if you could trim this movie down by about 30 minutes by taking out slow-mo, taking out unnecessary scenes, taking out the boring scenes that don't really add much to the movie's story or any character arcs, this would have been a much stronger movie, and honestly, it might have rivaled Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. I know, hot take, but more than anything else, I really am higher on Zack Snyder's Justice League than most people. I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's stellar. I don't think it's this movie where you have to run and go watch it and buy the 4K and stream it on HBO Max or wherever it is. But for all things that Zack Snyder has been through, that Zack Snyder fans have pushed for, this movie lived up to the hype, and I know we all had to deal with the reality that we were wrong. This movie did fix this disaster. So for that, I give it credit. I'm going to keep it in the top tier list over here, and I think that it isn't really that controversial, all things considered. Now, neither will this take. The Batman is a phenomenal film, not putting it above the Lego Batman movie. Sorry, people. I love Matt Reeves' The Batman. It's one of my favorite superhero movies in general. I love Pattinson. I love Catwoman in this movie. I love the Riddler in this film. But for me, I just think this movie is a little too slow. And upon a first watch, it dragged on that final arc, even though it was worth it, and even though it lived up to the hype when Batman gave a speech about being hope for the people of Gotham. I just can't put it as high as most people want me to, okay? I'm sorry, this is my list. You can always make your own list, and everyone will be happy, and that's okay. But for now, The Batman is still a top tier movie. This brings me to the final ranking in this list, and that is The Flash. And for The Flash, it's kind of in a weird state of, you could justify it here. You could justify it here. Maybe it should be in a tier of its own. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, we are creating a tier list live called The Flash. Hold on. Let's fix it. Let's do this. Boom. The Flash is getting its own tier list, and here's why. The Flash is not a good movie. It's not. It's messy. It's a disaster. And more than anything else, I feel like The Flash is just it has too much history, too much baggage, and everything about the movie, whether it's the PR disaster with the digital necromancy, as some people call it across social media, Ezra Miller and their actions, you know, not using Grant Gustin, the movie looking visually terrible, and all of these things, they are genuinely understandable criticisms. However, Michael Keaton's Batman in this movie slaps. I don't know what to tell you. Michael Keaton in this role, he comes back, takes the role like it was nothing. And every single aspect of the Batman in The Flash is fantastic. It's a mess, it's a disaster, it's flawed but enjoyable, it's also not good. So it's in between those lines and gets its own weird placement. I know that sounds like a cop-out, but you can legitimately justify putting it in either tier of not good for all of the reasons I said, and flawed but enjoyable because every aspect about Batman is good in this movie. So, The Flash, you get your own ranking. Congratulations. Now, we're not done. I said to myself that if I could, I would wait till the end to do the absolute best movie and the absolute worst movie. But to keep things actually compelling, I think we're going to do 2 movies in each ranking. And because it's not up for debate, we're putting The Dark Knight in the absolute best. Let's be real, there's no reason to even discuss this. I'm not going to waste your time. And even though I love the Lego Batman movie, and I love the Batman, and I love Batman 89, we're going to skip all of these movies in favor of putting Batman Mask of the Phantasm in top tier alongside The Dark Knight. Now to the content that people actually want and actually care for. Let's not drag it any further. This is the only movie that's going here. I'm sorry, Justice League, you're so bad. You're in a tier of your own. You're awful. You're a mess. You're a tale of two halves. You're insultingly bad, and you have pretty much no redeeming qualities. I think every other movie in this not good tier has some level of redeeming factors or something going for it. Even though, yes, I hate Tommy Lee Jones in the Batman Forever role that he took, which is Two-Face, it still has everything else going for it that I mentioned earlier in this video. Therefore, yeah, I'm just gonna keep it here. I know I should probably just put these 2 together, but I think Justice League is so bad that it deserves its own placement of the absolute worst. There you have it, folks. This is my Batman tier list. And if you want me to make more tier lists, such as a DCEU tier list or ranking every DC character in general, along with more sit down and talk videos, let me know in the comments down below. But for now, I leave you with 2 special words.
I'm Batman.